Welcome back to Hannity. The sheriff of Pinal County, Arizona, issued a dire warning to citizens about, quote, Mexican assassins this holiday weekend. Now, the press release reads in part, and I quote, based on credible information about recent Mexican drug cartel violence, Sheriff Paul Babeu is warning campers, hikers, mountain bikers, and all-terrain vehicle riders of the elevated risk of being out in certain areas of Pinal County this holiday weekend. Sheriff Babeu encourages those who are using the back roads, campsites, and trails in the known smuggling corridors of western Pinal County to be very cautious and consider carrying a firearm when in these wilderness areas. Joining us now to explain more is the sheriff of Pinal County, Arizona, Paul Babeu. Paul, first of all, I want to tell you, I thought what you said was quite honest, and it was refreshing. You said to people, there's a bigger problem than we can fix with the law enforcement personnel we have.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to go out there in the wilderness, and that's what you're talking about, out in the wilderness, you better be prepared to protect yourself because cops are a long way away.
That's the case, and you look no further than the signs President Obama has erected in my county that literally, written in English, warn American citizens that it's not safe to travel here. So you don't, in law enforcement, we call that a clue. And the president is literally, it's a sign of surrendering, quite frankly, this area to the cartels instead of joining the fight with me and Border Patrol agents on the ground, bringing a heavy hand of enforcement against these cartels.
That's exactly the word that came to my mind. It's as if we have surrendered a major part of the sovereign territory of the United States of America and said, we don't control this anymore.
Right.
What has happened in America when we surrender to drug cartels?
Right, and I'm a retired Army officer, served a tour in Iraq, and when you see in my county, we've arrested now in the past year and a half, a total of 21+ cartel scouts on mountaintops. We're not even on the border. We're 70 miles north of the border, and these are lookouts for the cartel. The largest drug bust in the history of my state, $3 billion, 76 members of these cartels armed to the teeth, 108 firearms, and the president, instead of helping us, instead of securing the border at the border, has been releasing violent, dangerous, convicted criminals into my county, into my state.
Sheriff, when I hear the president, he says things are better. That we've secured the border, things are better, we've deported people, that everything's coming up roses, just about. What's your perspective? You're a sheriff, you're dealing with it, you get, your men shot at. What's the difference? Is
80,000, 120,000 illegals who have been apprehended every year the previous 3 years just in the Tucson sector alone. That's not a measure of success. And far more concerning to all Americans should be not about just illegal immigrants, not about the cartels that we're fighting. What about ISIS? What about terrorists? And it shouldn't be a surprise to people now because the president has said the national security threat facing America, the top one, is global warming. It's not an unsecured border. It's not the terrorists that we should be fighting and defeating.
I've always said that I'm a lot more afraid of a gunshot than I am a sunburn. I may get over the sunburn. The gunshot, I'm not sure of, or a beheading. You've been highly criticized.
Yes.
Even by some who say they're gun supporters, but they say that was irresponsible. It was a campaign tactic. So defend the idea that you said to people, if you're going to go out in these wilderness areas,
yes,
defend yourself.
Absolutely, because cops in my county, even though we have a fast emergency response time, don't be a victim. We have a Second Amendment freedom and right, and I encourage everyone to be armed, to be properly trained. And this is where Governor Brewer, when she brought that in, open carry or concealed, crime has gone down dramatically in my state. And cops don't fear law-abiding citizens that are armed. We encourage that.
I think that's an important point to make, and you made it, that it's about being trained.
Yes.
It's not just about going to the gun store, buying a gun, strapping it on, not having a clue how to operate it, and firing it away. Well, Sheriff, it is a pleasure to have you here. First of all, I've appreciated watching you from a distance and the job you've done in Arizona, and I appreciate just the refreshing honesty with which you're speaking to your citizens in Arizona.
Thank you, Governor.
Have a great weekend and a safe one
out
in Arizona.